This is Generation Stadia, giving you your daily dose of everything and anything Stadia related, and today it's all about the games. This will be a series of video that shows you every game announced for Stadia so far. I will also give you a quick description of the game and show you what it looks like. If any Stadia exclusive features get announced after this video was put out, be sure to click on the annotation above when talking about the game and it'll catch you up on what was announced. This video will cover the first-person shooters, the sports games, and racing games announced so far. Be sure to check the description below for timestamps to each category. Now let's get this started, and what better way to start this than by introducing the first-person shooters available on Stadia. So let's start it off with Doom and Doom Eternal. Out of all the shooters on Stadia, this is the one most true to the genre. If I had to describe Doom to anyone in 3 words, it would be fast-paced, heavy metal, and hell. In this game, you take on the role of Doomslayer, a marine that's out and wreaking havoc on all demonic forces. Doom 2016 was a fantastic entry into the series, and Doom Eternal so far seems like it's just going to ramp up that high-speed gameplay and provide an even more fantastic experience. It's important to note that both of these games will offer single-player campaign and multiplayer online to play. Next on the list is Wolfenstein Youngblood. Now, to be very clear, Wolfenstein Youngblood did receive quite a bit of criticism upon its release, but I do think it's important to note that that criticism was mainly due to straying a little too far from the Wolfenstein formula. Don't go in expecting a traditional Wolfenstein game. This plays much more like a light RPG cooperative shooter. Now, if you're wondering about the setting of this game, it takes place in an alternate history timeline where Nazis won World War II. Now, while Wolfenstein Youngblood sure does provide a decent cooperative experience, it is competing with 2 giants in this category, the first of which is Destiny 2, a game created by the original studio that brought us Halo, Bungie. Destiny 2 also has the benefit of being the tie-in game for the Founders Edition, so everyone picking that up instantly has access to Destiny 2 and all of the DLC included. Now, what type of game is it? Well, it's your typical looter shooter, but with a sci-fi themed setting and Halo-styled gameplay. The majority of the game can be played solo, while also having the option for 3-player cooperative play. It also offers some great PvE elements such as 6-player raids that really remind you of an MMO. And on top of that, it also has PvP content. I could lay out every sort of game mode that currently exists in Destiny, but it would have to be a video of its own. Just know that if you're getting Destiny 2 the collection, you're probably getting one of the most content-rich games on the Stadia launch lineup. Next on the list is Borderlands 3. It's another cooperative looter shooter, but this time it allows for 4-player co-op. And while it does share a sci-fi setting with Destiny, they couldn't be further apart. From its cartoon-styled visuals to its over-the-top humor and crazy ideas for guns. The game will definitely provide tons of content for you and up to 3 other friends, but whether or not it lives up to Borderlands 2 is yet to be seen. Either way, this is one game I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye out for. Now, if grinding for loot isn't your kind of thing, we do have 2 shooters with a heavy emphasis on story. The first one we'll cover is coming at launch, and that's Metro Exodus. The year is 2036 and the location is Moscow, Russia. Quite some time has passed since the nuclear war, and all that's left is survivors battling against the horrors that were left after it. From toxic air to mutated beasts hunting you down. This game is a great and enthralling narrative experience I highly recommend. I don't want to speak too much about the game because frankly speaking, I think the less you know, the better it is. So next up, let's talk Cyberpunk 2077. This may be the most anticipated game of 2020, brought to us by the development studio behind The Witcher 3. Cyberpunk seems to be following its route in being a massive open world with RPG elements, except this time in taking in the genre of a first-person shooter. Out of all of the games on the Stadia lineup, this is probably the one that I'm looking forward to most releasing. The game seems extremely open-ended and dependent on how you decide to play it. And if The Witcher 3 is anything to go by, this game will be a massive deal once it finally releases. The game takes place in a future where human augmentation seems the norm. You play as a mercenary outlaw after a one-of-a-kind implant that will be the key to immortality. But to find it, you have to survive the open world that is Night City, which is a city full of crime obsessed with power, glamour, and body modification. Definitely keep an eye out for this one. Now, scrolling through the launch lineup, there is one shooter I forgot to mention, so let's talk about it now, and that's Rage 2. Rage 2 takes place in a new world devoid of any society, law, or order. It's a type of game that prides itself in being over the top. From its characters and enemies to its weapon design, everything is all out crazy. A good way to think about it would be Mad Max meets Borderlands. To be clear, it did receive some mixed reception upon release. That being said, it still seems like a good time. If you're looking for some mindless open world fun to create some havoc in, then Rage 2 has you covered. Now that currently covers all the shooters announced for Stadia. The next genre that will be covered are sports. So first things first, let's get the most notable one out of the way, and that's NBA 2K20. If you're a fan of basketball, chances are you've heard of what NBA 2K is. The franchise for a good while now has been the one to lead in terms of being the best basketball game there is, most recognizable for its solid gameplay and impressive feature set. And this year's entry is no different. It offers a strong single-player campaign, multiple multiplayer game mode options, and this year even includes the WNBA. With all that said, I can't ignore what's been going on with this game as of recently. If you haven't heard about it already, this year's entry has a ton of microtransactions, and I need to mention this. It's been a common topic among gamers already, and frankly speaking, it's kind of disgusting how casino-like this game is starting to turn. This game has it all. It has slots, it has pachinko, it has a Wheel of Fortune, and all this is on top of the card pack system it already had. That being said, if you really want to play an NBA game, 2K20 is still probably the best bet in terms of raw gameplay. Just be aware of what you're signing up for before you purchase. The second sports game is Football Manager 2020. As the name implies, it's all about being the manager of your own football team, or if you're American, your own soccer team. If you've ever caught yourself screaming at the TV that you can do a better job, well, this game actually lets you try and do it. Now, truth be told, I'm not too familiar with the series. That being said, I do recognize that it has a very loyal fan base, and a large one at that. Judging by what I've seen of the previous entries in the series, if you like player statistics and love football, this game is built for you. On top of that, it's one of the first third-party games to actually have Stadia exclusive features. Football Manager 2020 with the power of Stadia allows you to play faster or with more leagues than ever before. If you want more information about this, click on the annotation above where I covered the news about it. Now let's move on to the last sports game on this list, and that's Windjammers 2. The game is an intense take on a 1v1 frisbee style sport that stays true to the original entry in the series. The game has a cool cartoonish retro art style, and it's a game that looks like it's gonna be a ton of fun to play locally. With that said, it will support online multiplayer as well, and frankly speaking, I can't wait to give it a shot. Now, the last category we'll cover in today's video is racing games. So let's get this show on the road and begin with The Crew 2. This game has two very standout features that no other racing game has. First off, the open world map of The Crew 2 is the entirety of the United States of America. So yes, that means you can drive from New York to LA and back if you really want to. Now, the second very important feature to mention about The Crew 2 in particular is that it's not just about cars. The Crew 2 offers options for speedboats, hovercrafts, planes, motorcycles, and more. The game also features quite a bit in common with the shooter-looter genre, except this time with cars instead. This is the type of game where you will be grinding out races to unlock car parts and get money to get a better car. Now, the next racing game on the list is Grid. Grid will be the fourth entry into the series, but with this one they seem to be going for a reboot of the franchise. By the looks of it, it still has a very heavy focus on professional racing, but this time there will be a new feature called the Nemesis system. The quick rundown is that it's a brand new form of AI where each racer will choose out of a pool of 400 different AI behaviors. Not only that, but if you start playing aggressive with it, it will react to the way you play. It seems like they're trying to make it feel like you're racing against other real-life opponents rather than just computer AI that's always taking the perfect turn. Personally, I'll be keeping an eye out on this one. I do love myself some racing games, and this one looks like it's shaping up to be pretty good. The last game I'll be covering on this list is Trials Rising. And unlike all the other racers featured right now, this one is more about a race against the clock, and it's not just about flat out speed. The Trials series is a pretty popular one, and it's one where you have to have perfect control of your bike to make sure it doesn't flip over, and that you can make that jump or climb that hill. Trials Rising also features multiplayer game modes if you want to race against a friend. If you're a fan of challenging games and don't mind repeating hard sections, then be sure to check this one out. And that'll pretty much wrap up today's video. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to hit that like button, and if you're wanting to see the rest of the games list for Stadia, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell below to not miss out. I am looking for feedback on this type of video, whether you found it helpful or not, let me know in the comments section below. This has been Generation Stadia, giving you your daily dose of everything and anything Stadia related. And until next time, I'll catch you in the clouds, peace.